my channel. So today we're going to take a look at the Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Sludge. Let's take a look at the packaging. So of course up front here we have Sludge in his dinosaur mode, firing with his fire breath at all of the Sharkticons, looking very, very cool and massive. And of course we have the Transformers on the side. We have the 86, the Transformers the movie logo. We have Studio Series Dinobot Sludge with an Autobot symbol. And of course if we do move to the side here, we do have a nice close-up of Sludge breathing fire, which looks super, super cool. And in the back, of course, he transforms in 31 steps. There's two product pictures, one of the robot and dinosaur mode. Of course, he also does come with a backdrop display piece, which is pretty cool. And if we do move to the side here, of course, 86 Studio Series, he has a Leader Class figure and a close-up of his face, and that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. We have Sludge in his dinosaur mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very front with that head, of course, we have a really nice classic Autobot symbol on the top of the head with some really nice blue for the eyes, and of course all the teeth detailing there looking very cool with this nice kind of bronze gold color with quite a bit of nut and bolt design looking very cool, with quite a bit of gray for the rest of the neck, and again quite a bit of panel lines and really nice detail. I think they did a really good job with the stomach or the main body of the dinosaur. Quite a bit of circuitry detailing and quite a bit of panels. I actually really do like how they recreated this look, because if you watch the old G1 show, Wheeljack and Ratchet actually pretty much build all the Dinobots, Grimlock, Sludge, all of them, Swoop and everything. So I think they did a really good job, almost kind of looking like he was put together panel by panel, piece by piece. I think they did a really good job with that, looking very robotic and transform-like. Of course, again, tons of circuitry, tons of panel lines, done this really nice silver with quite a bit of really nice black detail there. Unfortunately, on this side, there's a bit of a paint mishap there. As you can see, there's really supposed to be gray there, but there's a few spots of gray, but that really doesn't bother me that much. But I actually really do like how there's this whole section here. It looks like a huge hinge, which is pretty cool, and you actually do have some spikes for the front of the feet too there, and one in the back. And of course that looks pretty cool, and if you do go to the other side, the same detail is repeated, but overall looks very, very cool. And if we do go to the back leg, pretty much the same as the front, really just a little bit bigger. That same nice black section at the top of the leg with those two spikes in the front and one in the back. Overall looking very cool in design, and that same really nice kind of bronze gold there looking very, very cool. And if we do move to the back, some really nice silver for the tail with quite a few spikes running back to the tail with quite a bit of gray. And again, quite a bit of circuitry in this back section, lots of little wires and pieces and panels looking very, very cool. And if you do move to the bottom, overall pretty complete. There is a hollow gap here, but that is really for weapon storage. Not my favorite storage in my opinion. I'll get to that in just a second, but overall I think they did an amazing job. I'm actually very, very impressed. I actually was going to sell this one, if you're wondering. I got this in a case of two. I got it from a toy site. I was going to just keep the Fallen. If you're wondering, I actually already did review the Fallen. It should be up on the channel right now, so make sure you go check that out after this review. So I was just going to keep that one and sell this, but I decided to open up, and I am thoroughly impressed, and I'm actually going to try and get the rest of the Dinobots. Hopefully I'll be able to get Grimlock. Right now he is so expensive on the aftermarket, but I am definitely thoroughly impressed with this figure. So articulation-wise, of course, the head can move up and down. Of course, the mouth can open and close. There is an extremely tight swivel at the neck, and there is also a ratchet joint. I would suggest to not do it too hard, because for some reason my copy will tend to untab from the main body. So there is a ratchet joint forward and back, so pretty good articulation there. As for the leg itself, there is a swivel at the top, and of course the leg itself, or the foot itself, can tip at the toe, and there is also a swivel at the ankle. As for the back leg, there is a swivel at the top, there is also a swivel at the knee itself, and there is a bend at the foot itself as well. And unfortunately, you cannot tip the toe at all like the front leg. And then also the leg can kick out, but that is really due to, of course, this is actually the robot mode arm. So pretty good articulation, I would say. It'd be nice maybe if you could move the tail. Unfortunately, there is no articulation in the tail, but I really do like how there is a ratchet in the neck of the dinosaur. So I'm definitely very impressed with this dinosaur. Let's now get down to, of course, the accessories. So he does come with one, which I kind of have a problem with, because I don't have the other previous Dinobots like Grimlock and Slug. I hope to get them soon, but I do know those figures come with two accessories. They come with the blaster, and they come with a non-transformable figure. Like Grimlock, he comes with Wheelie, and Slug comes with a non-transformable Spikewick Wiki, or it might be his kid Daniel, I'm not really sure, but it'd be nice maybe if he had come with, I don't know, a blaster piece so you could plug it in his mouth, or maybe a red sword, or some other blaster or something, but unfortunately, he only comes with this one blaster, which does look cool, just kind of seems like they kind of cheaped out on him, but of course you can see the scope there, the huge barrel, and this is actually blaster piece compatible, which is pretty nice, but it would have been nice if it came with more, but overall looking pretty cool with the black, and how you store this is, there is 2 tabs here, and if you do flip to the underside, there is 2 slots pretty much where the belly is, and you can just tab this into place like that. Not, I would say, the best storage. I think they could have done a little bit better because it kind of just juts out the side. I would say from the front view, it doesn't really bother you that much, but if you start going to the side, you can just see a random kind of pipe under him. But overall, a very good dinosaur mode, very thoroughly impressed, and that is pretty much it for this mode. So let's now get into 2 quick comparisons. Again, I don't have Grimlock or Sludge yet, so I really can't make those comparisons, but I'm going to make some classic G1 comparisons. So here he is with Earthrise, Leader Optimus Prime. I thought that'd be a pretty good comparison because they're both classic characters from the G1 show, and I think they look pretty cool next to each other. As you can see, size-wise, of course, this was classified as a Leader class figure, but it did come with the trailer, so of course, as it is now, it does look pretty small, but in comparison, Sludge really just completely dwarfs him. He is so much bigger than him, but they do look very, very cool next to each other. And again, just from like a front view, as you can see, they do look very cool next to each other. And I think they did a really good job recreating the very G1 kind of simple look. I think the gold really helps with that, and the silver. And of course, they did quite a bit of detail with all the circuitry. I think they did an amazing job with that. And just taking off to the side for one last quick comparison, I thought I'd bring out Wheelie because he is introduced, of course, with the Dinobots in the 86 movies. So I thought that would be a pretty cool comparison. And I'll bring him out later when, of course, both of them are in their robot modes. But as you can see, a very tiny core class figure. Sludge completely dwarfs him, but they do look pretty cool next to each other. And that is pretty much it for the comparison, so let's now get down to transformation into the robot mode. So we're going to start at the arms of the robot mode. So what you're going to do is move this section out. You can rotate this piece right here, and then I typically cannot get the hand out easily, so my little trick is you can get like a sword or a blaster or something, and then you can plug the handle in, and that will just come right out just like that. And then you're going to rotate the hands, and then of course do the same thing on the other side. So just move this section out, rotate at that piece, and then of course you can just get like a sword or blaster, and you can just get the hand out like that, rotates the hand around, and there we have the arms all done. And then what we're going to want to do is go to this whole back assembly here. You can get these sections, move these up, and then you can move them out like that. Then we're going to go back to the front. You can move the arms sort of out here. You can get these entire silver pieces, and you're going to hinge them up like that. So do the same thing on the other side. Hinge this entire section up. We can then go to the back, and you can get the front legs. Hinge these back here, just like that. And we'll go back to those a little bit later. And then what you're going to want to do is get these pieces. These will just tab in. There is a tab here and a slot on this piece like that. So tap those to the back, and they might come on tabs, so you might have to reposition those a little bit later. And then what you can do is get this entire red assembly here, which is the chest. You can hinge the section up, get the entire dino head and neck, move that back, bring the head out, and then you're going to rotate this completely around. And then you can reposition the arms, make them down like that. And this entire assembly is going to essentially, of course, tab into this piece right here. So just tab that into place like that. And then, of course, we can now go down to the legs, which can be a bit cluttery at times. We're going to hinge the legs completely down like this, unfold them, and then you're going to make sure these little tail pieces are down like this. So you're going to get this piece, hinge this to the back like this, and you're going to get this whole gold piece, fold this in, close this whole assembly up. And how this tabs in is there is a peg on this piece and there is a slot on the inside of the leg. So do the same thing on the other side, just peg that in. and then you're going to get this piece at the bottom of the foot, hinge this up, so you can complete the foot like that. And then as for these little comb pieces, there is a peg on the inside of this piece, and there is a port right there that will just tap into place, and then you're going to, of course, move the camera up because he's getting extremely big. You're going to rotate at the waist like that. You can reposition the arms to your own liking. And then as for the back, you can move these legs back, and there is a tab on this piece in there, and there's a slot there. Unfortunately, in my copy, it kind of just sits there. It really never tabs into place perfectly. And there we have Sludge in his orbit mode. Quite a complex and interesting transformation. I was actually quite surprised, but there he is. Let's now take a look at the details. So here we have Sludge in his orbit mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with that head sculpt. Of course, we have a nice Autobot symbol right on the chest. We have some nice silver for the face and some blue for the eyes, and of course some black for the helmet section. I do apologize if my lights are completely blasting out or blurring out the face because it's done in silver. I do apologize about that. If we do go to the side, of course, quite a bit of gray on the side. I actually really do like this nice black for the shoulder, and there's like some spikes there. I actually really do like how the toes or the claws from the feet are on the front and back of the arm. That's actually pretty cool how it's near the hand. Of course, the hand's mostly done really just in black, but overall looking pretty cool. And I actually really do like how blocky and bulky this figure is. That actually really works for a big dino, but it actually looks super, super cool. Overall, design-wise, of course, it is actually pretty simplistic. It really is just supposed to resemble, the G1 Dinobots. There's not, I would say, a ton of detail. Really just done in red on the chest, again, with that big classic Autobot symbol done, and some nice silver outlining looking very cool with a nice black on the chest, with some more black for the middle part of the legs. And I actually really do like these huge spike sections of the tail stick on the side of the leg, with quite a bit of silver and a really nice panel lining on the front of the legs, with some really nice gold for the feet. And of course on the back we do have the huge dino head, which unfortunately if you actually do look at this from a side view, he does kind of have the tendency to lean back, so if you move the arms out you might be able to balance that a little bit better. And of course he does have these little wing pieces, which I was thinking, that was one of the reasons why I was thinking of selling this, is because these pieces I thought would bother me, because I actually recently did sell the Power of the Prime Sludge. That's one of the reasons why I sold it, is because the big panel pieces on the back were so annoying and so big. But honestly here it doesn't bother me at all. It was really annoying with the Power of the Prime's version because they did not tab in. These panels actually will tab into place and stay. They still have a little bit of movement, but you can easily move them out of the way, which is really nice. So definitely a major improvement over the Power of the Prime's version. Unfortunately, of course, I can't make a comparison with that version because I sold it off quite a while ago, but I just have to say much better than that version. So let's now get down to, of course, articulation. At the top of the head, of course, you can look up and down. You can move side to side, and of course these panels have a bit of articulation. Again, they're tabbed in, so they can really just hinge forward and back. As for the arm, of course, it can move all the way around, up and down. It can move out and in. There is a swivel at the bicep, a really, really tight one. There is a, of course, elbow bend. Past 90, there is wrist rotation. And if you want to, as I mentioned earlier, with putting the fist in, I actually loosened the screw at that plate because it was so tight I could barely even get out. So you can loosen that screw, just don't loosen it too much because the screw could pop out and you could lose it. So just barely loosen it. I think that'll help a lot. Of course, there is waist rotation to a full degree. The leg can kick that far forward. Of course, there is a knee bend. There is, of course, can kick that far back, that far out if you move the arm out of the way. There is a swivel, and there is an ankle pivot. And that is pretty much it for articulation. Unfortunately, of course, it does, again, have it's a bit back heavy. Also, I kind of wish the dinosaur head could tab into place a little bit better. This could just be my copy, but as I showed before, there is a tab and slot there, and it really does not, I would say, tab into place. It kind of just rests there. It's not too bad, but I wish it could be a little bit more compressed or concealed into place. But that is pretty much it for the articulation. I think overall not bad for a leader class figure. And, of course, his one accessory is the blaster, which, again, I have to reinstate what I said earlier. I really think he should have come with 2 accessories. A blaster piece is something, because if you have Grimlock or Slug, they come with a blaster and a non-transformable figure. Of course, Grimlock comes with Wheelie, and Slug comes with Spike, the Exosuit Spike. Of course, they did make other releases that do transform, which is nice. I just think they could have included something else with this. Would I have liked another non-transformable figure with this one? No, I would have preferred maybe a sword, or, I don't know, a blaster piece, something. I think that really would have worked. But as for the blaster, I would say really the only way you can store it is in the hand, which I think works pretty well. But I really think, and I might actually get the upgrade kits for these Dinobots so they can have the sword. I really don't know why none of the Dinobots have come with their swords. I really don't understand that at all. So I might actually get the upgrade kit. But yeah, the sword, the blaster actually looks pretty cool. Really like the gold and the scope. Actually looks super cool. And if I didn't mention before, it is blaster piece compatible. And that's pretty much it for the accessories. So let's now get down to some comparisons. So first off, I did want to do another Stu Series leader class comparison. I actually did recently review this on the channel. Hopefully I can get him fully in shot because he is such a big figure. Here he is with the Fallen, which the review should be up on the channel right now. So make sure you go check that review out after you're finished with this one. I have to say they look very, very cool next to each other. I do apologize if I cannot get him fully in view. His staff is so big, but they do look very, very cool next to each other. I'm actually really glad I kept Sludge. So, two really good, cool figures, and I'm very impressed with the later classes so far in Stu Series. And let's just take him off to the side. And now for another G1 comparison. Here he is with Stu Series, Core Class Wheelie. Just to show you the size, he about reaches his knee, so this is a very, very big leader. And taking him off to the side for one last comparison, here he is with Earthrise Optimus Prime, a leader class. As you can see, I actually did make another comparison in the Fallen review of course, the leader class in the Legacy line and the leader class from Stu Series. As you can see, size-wise, a drastic change. Very, very big leaders in the Stu Series line. These are actually my first two leader classes in the Stu Series line, so I was so shocked at how big they are. And I think it's fine that, you know, the Legacy and the Earthrise are a little bit smaller. Of course, this one comes with a complete separate trailer, and it comes with a Matrix, so really, it's just your own opinion which one you think is more worth it. Some people might think size matters more than the amount of accessories. Some might think the opposite. To me, honestly, I think they're both worth the $55 price point, but of course, to each their own. But I think they do look very cool next to each other. Definitely very G1, and they do look very cool. I do apologize, there is some glare on the window doors on Optimus's chest. It's kind of blurring out, so I do apologize about that. But that is pretty much it for the comparisons. Let's now get down to the final thoughts for the Transformers Studio Series Leader Class. Get down to the final thoughts for the Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Sludge. I'm actually very impressed with this figure. Let's start in the remote. Love all the details. And I was actually thinking the back panels were going to bother me, but they really don't, because they actually tab into place. I actually recently had the Power of the Prime Sludge, and I really didn't like it because the panels had no place to tab, and they really just flap everywhere, and they were huge. So I actually sold off all my Power of the Prime's Dinobots, and I'm super glad to be able to replace that one with this one. Such a better figure, so many areas improved from that one. I'm so glad I kept this one. I was actually planning on selling this. I actually got this in a case of 2 from a toy site. I got it with the Fallen, which of course the review is on my channel right now if you want to go check that out after this one. And I was planning to just sell this one off on eBay, but I'm actually so glad I kept this because it's actually a really, really good figure. It does come with one accessory, which I think is my main problem with this figure. The other previous 2 Dinobots come with 2. They come with a blaster and actually a non-transformable figure, which, no, I wouldn't have liked that in this figure. I would have preferred him come with like a sword or maybe a blaster piece. I think that would have been pretty cool. Actually, just another idea came to mind. I would be fine if he came with like a non-transformable Sharkticon, or maybe a transformable Sharkticon, like a core class size Sharkticon, because if you saw the box, there's like, you know, 8 of them on the box trying to fight him. I think that would have been a pretty cool addition, a little Sharkticon to come with him. I would have been fine with that. That would have been a really good idea. It just seems kind of a little bit of a ripoff. He only comes with 1 accessory for a leader class size figure when you pay the same price for the previous 2 Dinobots that come with 2. That's just I would say my only problem. Articulation is actually pretty good. Of course, waist rotation, good head rotation, everything I really don't have a complaint about. Of course, there's an ankle tilt. I would say my only other complaint, which is a very, very minor one, unfortunately, the whole back dinosaur head really doesn't tab into place. There is a tab there, but it really doesn't stay. It kind of just rests there. It doesn't bother me that much. I just kind of wish it could tab into place or kind of conceal a little bit better, but everything else works pretty good. Another thing I wouldn't say as a complaint, just to be aware of, is if you have the arms down, he does tend to sort of lean back because all the stuff on his back, so you really have to have his arms up in a big pose so he can be a little bit balanced on all of his weight, but I wouldn't really say that's a complaint of mine. He looks really good with other figures. He's actually a really, really big leader class figure. I'm actually so surprised at the size of the leader class figures. People in the comments are probably like, dude, Studio leader class figures have always been this big. Well, these are actually my first 2 leader class figures. I actually did have the Age of Extinction Grimlock, but I sold it off like really quickly, so I don't remember the scale of it at all. I sold it off a long, long time ago, so I'm so surprised how big these figures are. I actually did make a comparison with the Earthrise Optimus Prime, and he is so much bigger than him, and I actually think that makes sense. In the G1 show, they were much bigger than all the other Autobots in the show. I think it definitely is to scale. Getting down to transformation both ways, actually, I wouldn't say it's complex. There's just quite a bit of steps, and I actually really do like that. I was surprised that there is like 31 or 32 steps, which is actually pretty fun, because most leaders in the Legacy line, I would say they're probably at max 25 steps, so it's actually kind of a nice change to have more steps, and I wouldn't say it's complex. There's just some areas where it can get a little chunky, because transforming it, you kind of have to do multiple areas at the same time, sort of unravel it, because there's things that block other steps. You really do have to do it, I would say, in a certain order, so it can get a little chunky and a little bit of lack of clearance in some areas, but would I say it's difficult? No, not really. I got it down after, I would say, that probably the first time transforming it with the instructions. It was pretty easy to remember. Getting down to the dinosaur mode, I'm actually really impressed. Love all the circuitry detailing and paneling detailing on the figure. It actually looks like they actually built it, because if you watch the G1 show, Wheeljack and Ratchet actually sort of pretty much build the Dinobots themselves, so it kind of looks like there's metal pieces sort of attached together and built together, which is a super cool idea and concept they did. I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, but it really worked for me. Love the dinosaur face, really classic Autobot symbol on the top of the head, of course, really cool teeth. And there is actually a peg inside the mouse you can attach a blaster piece. I think that would have been a perfect accessory. There is literally a place where you can plug a blaster piece, so I don't know why they didn't include one. I think that would have been a really good accessory. Either a blaster piece or maybe a little non-transformable Sharkticon, or if it transformed, I'd be fine with that too. I think that would be a perfect second accessory for this character. I'm really not sure why they didn't do that. And of course, the weapon storage, not the greatest. You kind of store it under his belly or near his belly area. It looks a little bit ugly from certain views. I'd say from the front view, you can't really notice it. From a side view, you kind of see a big pole under him, so it looks a little bit weird. Doesn't bother me that much, but I honestly typically don't even store the accessories. Whenever I have them in their alt modes, I'll transform it, have it in their alt mode, and then I'll transform it like 5 minutes later. So typically, I don't even use the storage, even though it's an option. And again, love the dinosaur mode. Pretty good articulation, of course. The front legs are actually a little bit less articulated than the back ones, of course, because the back legs are actually the arms for the robot mode. I would have liked maybe if you could have articulation in the claws or toes. The front legs actually do have those, but I'm actually surprised, because typically on dinosaurs and like any, beast from like Kingdom, typically the front legs are usually the small ones. They actually have like pretty much no articulation whatsoever. They're usually just stock legs that don't do anything, but they actually have a swivel and a hinge. You can actually tilt the toes forward and back, so that's actually pretty nice. I was expecting them to be stock and not be able to move at all, so I'm actually thoroughly impressed with this figure. Of course, this figure has actually been out for quite a while now. I'm pretty sure. I'm not usually that up to date with the Studio Series. I don't pay attention that much, but I'm definitely going to pay attention more often, especially with the Dinobots, because I'm really looking forward to Swoop and Snarl. I'm definitely going to get those, and hopefully I'll be able to get Grimlock. That one will probably be a challenge for me, because that one's pretty crazy expensive on the aftermarket, but I would really love to have that figure. So let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed, and of course, stay tuned for some more reviews of Studio Series. I'm actually going to be getting 2 more Shattered Glass. That would be Exosuit and Slicer, also Flame War and Fireglide, as well as the PulseCon exclusive. So those reviews are coming very soon on the channel. And again, if you have not already seen my the Fallen review, that is up on the channel right now, so make sure you go check that out after you finish with this review. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.